Hello again, it is Blevins here from heroesofartifact.com, and I'm bringing you a video today about the top 5 most underrated cards from PAX West. I'm talking about not necessarily the most powerful cards that we saw at PAX weekend, but the cards that people either are not valuing high enough or maybe overlooking entirely. I want to talk about those and give you my thoughts as to why I think they're a little bit more powerful than people think. Again, not the most powerful spells. You're not going to hear Echo Slam on this list, as that is one of the most powerful spells that we saw. But these are cards that perhaps maybe flew under the radar and are going to get you more value than people are thinking. So let me know what you think. Let me know what cards you think are underrated in the comments below. But we'll go right from there.
Number 5.
First card on this list here is the pairing of Riley the Cunning, or more notably known as Debbie, and her signature spell, No Accident. Debbie certainly isn't the strongest card in Artifact. It's very likely she's going to be one of the starter heroes that you're going to automatically get just for buying the game. No Accident also not one of the strongest cards, but I do think No Accident gives a lot of opportunities to outplay your opponent. That's going to be a theme that we're seeing going through this list and going through competitive Artifact as well. Being able to outplay your opponent and have cards that can really punish your opponent for making missteps are going to be very powerful, even if they have not as huge of an impact inherently. After PAX weekend, everyone got a first-hand look at just how good removal spells are in Artifact, especially instant speed removal spells that do the damage instantaneously. They're even better because they have the ability to completely shut down a lane, especially if you have initiative before your opponent even has the chance to cast a spell or card. No Accident is not the strongest removal spell, but the versatility that the 2 damage adds, as well as the upside of completely devastating a lane, are what make this card deceptively strong. When you see an ability that would normally cost about 1 mana in Magic with cards like Shock, when you see that a card that would normally cost 1 mana costs 3 times as much, there's probably something more than meets the eye to a card like No Accident, and I think it's no accident that I put this on the list.
Number 4.
Next card here is the card Clear the Deck. We barely saw Clear the Deck at all during PAX weekend. It seems like it got almost completely overlooked. It's not nearly as versatile as a spell that does damage instantly, like No Accident or even Coup de Grace, but it potentially has a higher upside than those cards. Cards that punish your opponent's placement mistakes are going to create space to outplay your opponents, like I mentioned before. Being able to outplay your opponents and punish your opponents for not playing around a card like this are really going to have a big impact. This card does only have a 1-turn impact in that it doesn't modify your heroes, but there are oftentimes in lanes where you've fallen behind and you need a big tempo swing to be able to retake control. This is a relatively cheap option for an effect that can completely take over a lane.
Number 3.
The number 3 card here is going to be Mercenary Exiles, and this is a card I've seen a lot of people hating on. The fact that you have to spend the gold is very unappealing to folks, especially when you compare it to a card like Revtel Convoy, which I would put on one of my top 5 most powerful cards from PAX West. While Mercenary and Revtel have similar abilities and that they're both powered up by gaining gold, the fact is that they're very different types of cards. The obvious difference here is that Mercenary comes out as early as turn 1, which is a whole 2 turns earlier than Revtel Convoy. Mercenary also has pretty decent stats, and you can actually generate gold on its own without any other help. You don't need to be gaining gold prior to playing Mercenary Convoy to actually start generating gold with Mercenary. A Mercenary is unlikely to be a card that you want in your gold ramp deck, like the black-green deck that we saw from PAX West. Instead, Mercenary is going to allow you to build upon your board advantage even higher when you get some early kills. This is also notably a non-hero unit, so it does dodge some key removal spells like Coup de Grace. I don't think that Mercenary is going to be as strong as Revtel in the decks that are built around Revtel, but Mercenary Exiles is going to be going to give aggressive and mid-range decks some additional options for their gold and be able to allow you to push your gold advantage even further and quicker than with other cards.
Number 2.
Number 2 on our list here is going to be the Smeevil Blacksmith. And this is a card that saw almost no mention during the weekend, but I do believe it does have quite a bit of utility. Of course, Smeevil is weaker than a neutral creep, but he does give you an instant ability when you play him, and perhaps more importantly, can block damage in the place that you choose in the late game. Playing out Smeevil early simply to get the +1 armor, letting it die to a creep is likely not going to be worth that 4 mana investment for just a 2/2. However, in the late game, you have the option to block a lot more damage from one of your opponent's stronger heroes. Just having a creep in your back pocket can really punish your opponent if they overextend and try to win a lane in a single turn. The extra armor is just gravy at that point, but it does allow Smeevil to still be versatile in the early to mid game as well.
Number 1.
Last but certainly not least here on our list, number 1 card that was most underrated in PAX West is the Town Portal Scroll. Now, I'll give this to you. It's probably kind of a cop out for me to pick Town Portal Scroll for this list, as you can't. It's unconfirmed, but it's unlikely that you're going to actually be able to actively put this card in your deck when you're building your deck. However, this card will be a part of every single one of your games of Artifact. As PAX went on, we really began to appreciate the power level of the Town Portal Scroll. We kind of noticed that almost every one of the champion players bought it almost just about every single time they saw it available. And after seeing its versatility, I'm really not surprised that they did so. Being able to save your hero from dying, denying gold from your opponent by saving your hero, setting up your other lanes with access to another color, or maybe being able to switch lanes that you want to push, and also being able to pull a hero from a lane that's going to kill your opponent's hero and therefore allow them to move it, leaving them stranded in a lane that maybe you're giving up on, are just some of the many options that Town Portal Scroll gives you, all for just 3 gold. Now, the things I named are just the few instances of versatility that I know is Town Scroll being played in these PAX decks. Now, there's possibilities even beyond that. I mean, a card like Town Portal Scroll, I believe, is going to be almost completely uh, needed for a deck playing Meepo. Being able to put your Meepos in the right lane are going to be very, very strong once we see that card, if that card does see play. And this is probably the card I would say is the most likely to get some sort of nerf when or even before the game is released. I could see this being a 5+ gold card and still seeing it be bought just about every single time. Right now, it seems like an auto buy. You really, really do yourself a favor and buy this every single time that you have the option and you have the 3 gold. You're going to get a return on your investment almost certainly. Returning to the Fountain is just such a strong ability. It's way too strong for just 3 gold. That is it for the top 5 most underrated cards from PAX West, as chosen by me, TheBlevins, for heroesofartifact.com. Let me know what you thought. Was I completely wrong? Did I miss a card that you thought was underrated? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. It really does help out a lot and help the channel grow and help me be able to create even more content that you guys want to see. Let me know what you thought with all that good stuff. But, guys, I am TheBlevins for heroesofartifact.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.